you should teach as you were teaching your own son or your own daughter. Because when you teach your son, you don't want to teach him something that doesn't work just because the master of your master say this is the technique. No, if you teach him, you want him to teach him something to help him to survive. You don't care that he respect the right angle and the right move of your masters if he get killed. When I started to teach seminars, and I was teaching sometimes for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, only knife defense. And here was the problem. I knew and I felt that at the end of the seminar or the course, even for the advanced students, I say, okay, I teach them the Krav Maga techniques, the original Krav Maga techniques, defense, counterattack at the same time, frontal pressure, everything. I do believe in the techniques, but really, if now some of those guys, after practicing like 20 or 30 hours, if they get aggressive now in a crazy knife attack in the street, can they survive? And I knew the answer was no. You cannot have a Krav Maga who teach defense against stick attack when the stick is over here, is here, is here. It becomes karate. Okay, karate is excellent. And all those Krav Maga techniques they teach from here, from him, from there, they are excellent. But if we do this, we have killed the Krav Maga, because when we teach Krav Maga, it should be simple. If I have time and I want this to become all my life, go learn MMA, go learn Thai box, you will be more efficient in street fight. No, you want to come to Krav Maga because it should be something you can learn in very short amount of time. Hello guys, how are you? And if you never do sparring during your training, if you don't do pressure, I think someone who resists 200%, then all the training you do, it doesn't worth anything, it's zero. A very important video today. Recently, many of my students in France, in America, in Switzerland, in Italy and so on, they sent me video about different Krav Maga instructors talking about the new evolution of Krav Maga. And many they asked me what do I think about this. So my answers will be very clear and I will explain why I think like this. So please follow this video until the end, post it, share it, and more important, please, for all my Krav Maga colleagues, instructors and masters, put your comments under the video. And of course, if you disagree with me, just feel free to write why and what do you think. I am really open-minded about this. So look, for those of you who don't know me, I am Alain Cohen, a Krav Maga instructor. I am Dan 6 in Krav Maga. I learned under Grandmaster Raphael Gressy, who was one of the first FIMA students. Why this is important? Because when I studied to learn Krav Maga in France, when I was in France with Chaim Anizar, a student of Elia Avigzar, and then when we moved back to Israel with my family, my master, rest in peace, Chaim Anizar, told me, okay, continue to learn Krav Maga with one of my master, Grandmaster Raphael Gressy. This is what I did. And then when I met Rafi, and I started to learn under him, I told him, look, I know that Krav Maga has evolution, but I want you to teach me the Dan program from Dan 1 to 5, according to the original program, the FIMA program. He said, why? Because I say, I want to have the original techniques. I want to understand why he used to teach like this and what are the techniques. And this is what we did. I get my Dan 5 in 2013, I think, or 2012. And from that moment, I started to think by myself. What do I mean? Before that, I was like a good student. You teach me like this is what you need to learn, and this is what I used to train. I was following all that my instructors and masters were talking to me, were teaching to me. This is what I did. But then I saw that when I started to teach seminars, so I am today 43, and I started to teach seminars when I was 20 years old. Okay, my first seminars in France, in Italy, I was 20 years old. So I have a bit of experience in teaching Krav Maga, training Krav Maga. And to make a long story short, sometimes some people used to say, okay, you come for the seminar or to teach a course, we want to see a Krav Maga seminar about knife defense. We want only knife, we have problem with knife, we want knife, okay. And I was teaching sometimes for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, only knife defense. And here was the problem. I knew and I felt that at the end of the seminar or the course, even for the advanced students, I say, okay, I teach them the Krav Maga techniques, the original Krav Maga techniques, defense, counterattack at the same time, frontal pressure, everything. I do believe in the techniques, but really, if now some of those guys, after practicing like 20 or 30 hours, if they get aggressive now in a crazy knife attack industry, can they survive? And I knew the answer was no. I knew it because sometimes I always used to put pressure into the training, not just a static attacks and I made the defense and you make it. This is good to understand the techniques on the first stages of the techniques to practice like that, but then you need to put pressure. And I knew that when we were putting a lot of pressure, they end the fight on the ground, they get stabbed many times and so on. But I continue to teach. But when I got my Dan 5, and originally the program in Krav Maga was to Dan 1. Then they put many techniques until Dan 5. So the Krav Maga technical syllabus was until Dan 5. Dan 6, 7 is more for the kavod, for the respect, for what did you do for the system, how many black belts you have teach, how many courses you have teach, and so on. But technically until Dan 5. And from this moment, I allowed myself to speak and to think by myself about the techniques. And also, I had a good advantage because I had many students all around the world and instructors. And some of those instructors were police officers, army officers. And every year we have our big event, annual instructor course, Hall of Fame, when we train all together and we share. It's not like a pyramid, I'm here teaching everyone. No, this guy is from the police, special forces in France. This guy is in the army in Ecuador. This guy is special force in Korea. All together, we speak and say, okay, this year I have a child. I try to teach him this technique. It doesn't work. Or in our unit, we do this exercise. It's very good. We try it. If it's a good one, we take it into our program. So slowly, my program was evolving in Krav Maga. And then, almost 10 years ago or 9 years ago, I started to practice also grappling, BJJ. In the Krav Maga we used to learn in Israel, we had already some grappling techniques. But it wasn't good because we learned only how to do jujigatame, triangle, all the submission. But I knew that all those submissions were useless because in real grappling, you know that you need to have a good position before the submission. If you don't have the position and how to get this position and how to move from a position to another, and how to defend against those positions if you are on the ground and somebody is on you, on mountainside, how to escape, all the submission it doesn't work anything, okay? You won't do anything with someone who has a little bit some skills in grappling, he will just play with you. So even the ground technique with foot we had in Krav Maga was completely useless if you don't have real grappling skills. So when I started also to learn BJJ, even more, I started to feel that many Krav Maga techniques were useless. So this video will be a bit long, but for those of you who want to follow me and to follow this video, you will understand many things. First, in Krav Maga, we have principles. One of the Krav Maga principles says, Imi used to say, when you make a defense, you need to make something with natural move, okay? Because what's the deal of Krav Maga? Krav Maga, we teach something, we teach a system, how to be efficient in a short amount of time. But this means we are not teaching the best techniques. If someone is now punching you, the best techniques will be to dodge, okay? You don't receive the punch, it didn't touch you. But in Krav Maga, no, we prefer to block. If Mike doesn't give you a big punch, okay, you block it, but believe me, you feel the pain. But why we prefer to teach this if to dodge is better? Because Krav Maga is based on natural move. When a kid wants to protect himself, he never learn any martial arts, say, oh, no, 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 don't hit me. He doesn't do, up, don't hit me. No, the natural move is to block. So in Krav Maga, because we don't have time, a lot of time to teach people, we use the natural move, okay? So this is the deal. When people they come to Krav Maga because we want to learn something fast. They don't come because we want to learn the best technique. This is very important to say. We teach something you can learn in a short amount of time, but it's not the best technique. Best technique is to dodge, for example, not to block, okay? So if the deal of Krav Maga is to teach something very fast, using the natural move of your body, okay? You cannot have a Krav Maga who teach defense against stick attack when the stick is over here, is here, is here. It becomes karate. Okay, karate is excellent. And all those Krav Maga techniques they teach from here, from him, from there, they are excellent. But if we do this, we have killed the Krav Maga, because when we teach Krav Maga, it should be simple. If I have time and I want this to become all my life, go learn MMA, go learn Thai box, you will be more efficient in street fight. No, you want to come to Krav Maga because it should be something you can learn in very short amount of time. This is the first thing. So if one of the Krav Maga principle Imi said is use natural move, and we said why? Because this will be easier to teach, to recruit, to new students. Then we have another Krav Maga principle who says when you make a defense and counter-attack at the same time. But when you do this, it's good because instead of doing 1 and 2, you make 1. Okay, very good. But now, for the smartest of you who are watching this video, you should say, hey, but you just say another principle who say use natural move. And now you say another principle who says, which says do defense and counterattack when you can. Okay, so if you understand, those two principles are antagonists. They don't work together at all. This is not natural to do this. If you are looking in the street, if during a surprise attack you do this, but no chance even if you train for 20 years, and I used to train for 20 years in Krav Maga. I started Krav Maga when I was maybe 10, okay? So it's been maybe 30 years. I am almost sure if someone surprises me when I attack, I will not do this, I will do this. Because this is against the normal coordination. You cannot do this. So you will say, so there is a problem. Why Imi said Krav Maga principle are not matching together. So this is my own opinion and my own point of view to understand the way Imi explained the thing. It's like this. Defense and counterattack is a good thing. You know when it's a good thing? When people, for example, someone hit my car, okay? So he stepped out of this car, I step out of my car, say, hey, he start to argue with me, to insult me and everything. I see he's very angry. And I saw him going back to his car, take a knife, go out from the car with a knife in his hand. So now I saw the knife. I understand someone is going to attack me with a knife. I'm ready to defend against the knife. Yeah, maybe here doing one defense and counterattack at the same time will be efficient. It will be great because I saw the attack. But in a surprise attack, okay, it will be impossible to do this. You will be, as I said, lucky if you just do this and you control the arm. So do not believe in what I say. Just take some YouTube video of real aggression and you will see the intensity of the knife attack, the way people do the attack. If they stab just one time like this, or it's like 20 times like this and like this, okay? And then you decide by yourself, do you think on a surprise attack you can do this and this? No, you will say no. Logically, we can do only this, okay? Just a block, but counter defense will be almost impossible. So in our federation, the KMFAC, we decided to change completely the system of the knife defense. For example, because we still have the original Krav Maga defense taught by Imi in respect to him, and we teach him in the Dan in something very far, okay? But when someone comes and it's his first lesson, we start with the knife attack, with the new knife attack defense we used to teach for like maybe 5-6 years now. we have adopted them in our new Krav Maga program. Because if you understand that in a case someone attacked me and I saw the knife, I'm going to do this, but those cases are maybe 5% of kind of knife attack you can get in the street. 90% of the knife attack will be surprise attack. You can take the statistic in Israel, in America, in Europe, everywhere. People who get attacked by the knife, they didn't saw the knife. Even after they get stabbed, they came back to hospital or to their home, and suddenly they can see they are bleeding. They say, I think he was just punching me, but he was stabbing me. You don't see the knife. 90%, if not 95% of the cases, you never see the knife. Okay? So, the question you should ask yourself now as Krav Maga practitioner or someone who wants to learn how to survive is, do you want to spend the time of your training time, weekly training time, to train on a technique that can help you to face 95% of the cases scenario in the streets, or you prefer to invest your time to train a defense that will help you in just maybe 5% of the scenario cases in the street? Okay, because this will be only when you see the knife, and this is very rare. But sudden attack will be most of the time. So if you have time 2 or 3 times per week, it's better for you to invest your time to train a technique that can save you 95% of kind of attack. I will also publish very soon an online seminar about those knife defense. For people who are a member of our online program, you will get them also for free. And you will see, and I make the test, I can come to any school or academies and teaching them within 1 hour or 2 how to defend themselves, not just against knife attack, against crazy knife terrorist attack. 1 hour, 2 hours. It's very simple, even people that never practice any martial arts, it's super efficient, and it's not defense against knife attack when my attacker is static. The attacker is crazy, he can do whatever he wants, he can make 30, 40 attacks. Even after he control me, his mission is to take out his arm to give 200% resistance. And I saw the difference. I spent years of teaching regular techniques, but after years, when I put 2 black belts together and say, okay, make full attacks, no one can stop the knife. They hand on grappling on the ground and everything. Here, I can someone who never practiced any martial arts, or young girls, or women, or old guys, they can survive. Of course, they can get some scratches, okay? But they survive. This is what we want. I want to teach them how to control the knife. Maybe we won't be able to disarm the knife, but they can control the arm until someone will come to help them. So now, for me, it's a revolution. Why? Because when you teach Krav Maga, you have 2 kinds of people. Some people, they teach Krav Maga for money. I'm not criticizing this because I do this. This is my main occupation. I'm a Krav Maga teacher for the last 20 years. Okay, this is what I do. This is what I do to live, to eat every day. I'm teaching Krav Maga. So there is nothing bad to this. But where it becomes bad is, do you teach techniques who are super aesthetic because you want people to come here? I don't criticize this because I used to make this also. You make something look nice, people say, I like this, they come. But when you teach actually on the mat, not for YouTube video, when you teach something on the mat, you should teach as you are teaching your own son or your own daughter. Because when you teach your son, you don't want to teach him something that doesn't work just because the master of your master says this is the technique. No, if you teach him, you want him to teach him something to help him to survive. You don't care that he respects the right angle and the right move of your masters if he gets killed. Okay? So ask yourself, when you teach a techniques, you need to think all the time, I am teaching my son, I am teaching my daughter, this technique work or doesn't work in reality? This is the question you should have in your mind all the time when someone show you a new move or new technique. And again, my power is I am always open to discussion with new instructors, with some of my students, black belt, people from different styles, always, because I want always to find the solution with not the best technique, but the technique will help me to survive and the technique that most of people can do in a short amount of time of learning. Because again, guys, Our deal in Krav Maga, people who come to Krav Maga, they want to learn something fast. If they say, no, I have 20 years in front of me, I don't rush. Okay, so go to MMA. You will be a warrior, you will destroy everyone. Let's talk about reality, guys. Let's talk about reality. Krav Maga is good to fight someone, a normal guy, in the street. But if you want to fight a warrior, someone who has great skills, who is very strong, it's not enough, okay? You need to face the reality. When you teach Krav Maga, you are not teaching MMA. But when you teach MMA, you are not teaching Krav Maga as well, okay? But if those two guys are going to fight in a cage, of course the MMA guys will just play with the Krav Maga guy. And you know why? Because in Krav Maga, we teach self-defense, okay? And we teach how to use weapon, and we teach fighting. But another problem we have in the actual Krav Maga, some people, they put 90% of their training about the self-defense. And it's a big mistake. Why? Because in the street, you are thinking about, I need to go get my kids from the school, I need to buy some bread, I need to go there, and suddenly someone is going to attack you. Krav Maga is the deal. Sudden attack, he comes, he chokes me, he comes, he attacks me with a stick. What will be my first reaction? Okay, in Krav Maga, first reaction, he chokes me, boom, I release. He stab me, boom, I make defense. Okay, this is your first reaction in Krav Maga. And the problem is, this is something important, but people, they invest 90% of the time training only on this. Krav Maga is not this, because if I make my choke defense, if I make my stick defense, if I make my wrist hand defense, okay, and the guy is not knockout, okay, I release my hand, for example, but it's not knockout. You know what happened now? Now you have two guys. There is not like a sudden effect. No, two guys, one in front of each other. They raise their hands, and now you are going to face a real MMA fight. With no rules, okay, but it's a normal MMA fight. People say, no, but in Krav Maga, we play with it's a sudden attacks, we train, okay, sudden attack. But after the first attack, if for some reason, and it happened a lot, the guy is still here. You didn't put him knockout. He wants to fight. He wants to continue the fight. What do? You need to have basic striking level and skills. You need to have basic wrestling skills. You need to have basic grappling skills. You cannot say, no, we just put one finger in the eyes, or we get his ground. No, you cannot tell this. If what you did the first defense didn't work, now your advantage as a Krav Maga practitioner who should be aware how to react on a sudden attack, okay, disadvantage you don't have anymore. Now, you face another guy, and it will be a real fight. Okay, like a kickboxing fight, MMA fight, call it as you want, it will be a fight. You need to know how to fight. And if you never do sparring during your training, if you don't do pressure, okay, what do I mean by pressure during the training? Someone who resists 200%. Then all the training you do, it doesn't worth anything, it's zero. Because when you have a real pressure, someone like you who want to kill you, who want to survive, here is the real fight. When you practice BJJ, at every end of every session, we roll, okay? We roll 5-6 minutes with a big guy, a small guy, someone who moves very fast, someone who is very, very flexible. And you face different kinds of people who give you full resistance. When you make Thai box, okay, and you make sparring, you choose to get punched in your face, because it's not like in the movie, you learn the technique and no one is going to touch you, okay? This is not the reality. In a real fight, someone will punch you in your face. If your neck is not strong, if you don't get shoes already to get punched in the face, after the first punch, even if you are not knocked out, you will be shocked. You say, wow, what happened to me? Because you are not used to this. Try to think to every situation where you are out of your comfort zone. At first, it was something very stressful, but then you get used to it. Remember the first time you learned how to drive a car. You were stressed. Don't talk to me. I need to get focused on the road. How do I use the gears? How do I do this? 10 years later, you can drive, speak on the phone while you are driving, and hit something with the other hand. Because you get used to this stressful situation. So during your training, you do the same. Get used to train under stress. Take yourself all the time out of your comfort zone. Of course, in a good situation of safety, okay? We train with tatami, okay? With an instructor. Instructor, if he's teaching, he cannot practice. If I want to practice as the instructor, I should take someone else, say, okay, now you take the group and you are in charge, okay? You need to control, no one is hurting himself against the wall, etc., etc., okay? So you need to train with safety, but still you need to train with reality, with pressure. Because again, what is the deal of Krav Maga? We train reality. We don't train for the cage, okay? So we need to be aware about what will be the cardio when I make a real fight. A sparring, it's not a real fight, but almost, okay? But someone is attacking you and is starting, and you know him, it's your friend. This is not cardio, this is not reality. You need someone who put you the stress, he's yelling at you, he push you, okay? You get the knife, but he continue to take out his arm, he cut you. You cannot say, do it again, attack me again. No, from the mistake, you need to find a solution, how to adapt yourself, how to continue techniques. Because a teacher can teach you techniques. But the only one thing we cannot teach is what do you do when the teaching techniques fails. And from there, you need to find a solution to continue. Because all the time it could be a different scenario and you need to be used. But even when I fail the technique, how I continue? But if you train all the time with static attack, okay? And the guys come make static attack and they say, no, it wasn't good. Okay, no problem, I attack you again. You don't learn how to face the reality. In the reality, all the time you're going to fail. It will be dirty attacks. You're going to fall. You'll be stressed. You will be stressed, okay? You know, for example, we took the example of driving. All of you, you know how to drive for 20 years. But make the test. Go to driving school. Say, no, I want to learn. You will start to drive and someone will be just sitting near to you. But you already know how to drive, but you didn't tell him. He will just be sitting here and he will test you, he will check you. Just this will put on yourself stress. And you say, wow, I knew how to drive, but just because he's here, I am stressed and I lost my ability, my capacity to drive. So in the street, even if you think you know the techniques, you will see that most of the time, just because of the pressure of a situation that you don't know, you will be stressed. And if you don't get used to this stress, it's not Krav Maga, you will be dead. We said Krav Maga against an MMA guys will be always stronger. But here is the subtlety, the difference. When you do MMA, it's very high level of fighting. But still, when you get inside, at any time you can tap, the fight is stopped. You didn't tap, but the doctors say, no, it's dangerous, he stopped the fight. In your corner, your trainer say, no, we need to stop, we can stop the fight. And even it's a lot of stress, not many people, they get used to go and make competition. But in the street, it's a different stress because even if you tap, the guys can continue. It depends on your attacker and how crazy he is. In MMA, the guy is going to beat you, to kill you, but he's not completely crazy. He says, oh, I see his knockout. He won't continue to punch you, okay? But in the street, if the guy is completely dumb, he can continue to hit your head on the ground. It's a different kind of stress. So what I mean, in those kinds of situations, an MMA guy will be more prepared for the street. But if you are a Krav Maga practitioner who train all the time with the reality and the intensity, you will be better prepared for the street because you train only for this goal. How do I stop the attack, control the arm, get some help, or disconnect and escape? This is Krav Maga should be today. So again, I started this video by explaining my background in Krav Maga. I learned from first IME student, Rafael Gracie. Okay, 8 Dan, I am 6 Dan. I have allowed myself to analyze and say maybe we need to change things in my own federation. When I was Dan 5, after I make that shift, I say, okay, now I want to make things evolving and we have our own federation. When people come, I still show them this is the original technique, but I'm going to teach you this and this. Because people, they come to learn Krav Maga, you need to respect them. You cannot teach them something which is better maybe and say it's Krav Maga. No, this is your own version, kol hakavod, good for you. But be honest with students. This is original technique taught by IME. This is what I'm going to teach you. And then you explain why you prefer to teach like this and like this. So Again, all Krav Maga masters, please, if you think I said something where I'm wrong, put it in the comment. I will read it. I will answer to it. My goal is not to say I am right, this is the reality. My goal is to make our system evolving. Take BJJ, is evolving every day. What we learned 10 years ago is still good, but there is some new techniques. Why? Because people, they used to work together. They are not fighting each other. So I think we need to make our system evolve. I have already changed all my way of thinking about knife defense, and I am very happy because how I know it's good, not because someone is telling me it's good, because I see my students when they do it with 200% full attack and resistance, it works, okay? I made now the same for my gun defenses. I will very shortly start to show also those defenses. And again, I would like to mention, it's not like I see a new techniques and I adapt it. It started 10 years ago. I started to develop new techniques about the knife, about the gun, but I didn't put into the syllabus immediately. First I teach him to all my instructors all around the world. I say, okay, you try this with your students, you give me feedback. This is the way it should be. Give me feedback, okay? If it works, we adapt it, okay? So we did this for knife, we did it for the gun. It will be very soon, we will put this also on the online platform. And we made also this for the hard barracks from the back, because it's good to have one technique for every situation. But it's like if I tell you, you learn 5 ways to give a low kick, okay? By the end, during a real fight, you don't know even one. Learn only one, practice it thousands of times, and it will be a normal reaction, okay? So again, I'm not here to criticize Krav Maga. I'm here to criticize the way it has not evolved, okay? And IMI was for the evolution. Because of that, he gave us a lot of principles we need to understand to help the system to evolve. Os Kida.